Sure is a lot of stuff on YouTube lately about the immorality of prayer. I can kind of see the immorality of prayer. Actually, I think it's more to do with selfishness of prayer. Prayer reminds me of, God is, well, Jesus, God, whatever, is really the adult Santa Claus. Let's see Santa. Let's see the qualities of Santa. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. And if you're good, you get rewarded. You get your heart's desire. Or, if you're bad, you get coal. And where does coal come from? Coal comes from the fireplace. Yeah, coal is basically, you associate coal with fire. So it's kind of funny, the symbolism there, I think. I've always thought that. Even when I was a kid, I thought that, that why coal? And now it's like, coal, fire, hell. Rewards, heaven, living forever, getting to have mansions. And what else is similar is the wish list, Santa's wish list. Little kid gets in Santa's lap and looks up and, oh, Santa, I would like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, of course, if they don't get what they want, they get all bratty. So what is prayer? To me, that's what prayer is. Prayer is the adult equivalent of asking Santa for your heart's desire. The funny thing about prayer is it's totally pointless if God is in fact all-knowing and he can see the future. He knows every thought that you are going to think before you think it. He knows every word that comes out of your mouth before you say it. He knows ahead of time where you're going to be in a minute from now, or an hour, or a day. Everything that's bad that's happening to you right now, that's all part of God's plan. Assuming there's a God, it's all part of his plan. So why prayer? It's like, okay, if you're asking him for something that's not part of his divine plan, he's not going to change his divine plan that he's had up in running since the dawn of time, just for you. If it's going to happen anyway, if what you pray for just happens to be on his to-do list for the future, your prayer will be answered with a yes. Oh, sure, absolutely, here you go. But if your prayer just isn't on the to-do list, that's when God will answer you, but his answer will be no, because it's not on the to-do list. So my feeling is, when I was growing up and I was a Christian, and I would ask, why do we need to pray if God knows everything and he knows our heart's desire? The answer that I got, oh, well, God likes to hear you say it. So I kind of came along thinking that the more you beg and plead and ask for the same thing over and over and over, the more possible likelihood you might get what you ask for. God will see that you really, 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 it's really important if you pray hard enough, he'll see how important it is to you. That's how I grew up to think about prayer. And then if something didn't happen, if I prayed and prayed and prayed, and something didn't happen, and I got to whatever bad is going on gets to continue, it's me. It's my fault. I didn't pray hard enough. I didn't mean it enough. I wasn't sincere. God could see my heart. Even though I really, really, really feel as strongly as I possibly can feel it, this is what I want. More than anything, God can see my heart. And God can see that I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible, bad person. Guess who told me that? Uh, so I grew up thinking that I was never worthy. I was never good enough. No matter how hard I prayed, I was never good enough for what I begged for. What did I beg for? Escape. I begged for escape. I begged that somebody would hear me. I begged that the counselor in my elementary school and then my junior high school would believe me. I begged that I would be taken away and put in juvenile hall. I begged that if I did enough bad things, that I would be taken away and put someplace where I would be safe. I begged that. I think it's immoral for people. Well, I think prayer is immoral because no matter how tough your situation is, no matter how crappy, there's always other people out there who have it so much worse. I think, it's one thing to pray when you see somebody you love hurting. You'll do anything to stop that. You will do and say anything. You don't care how it comes across. You just want that person to feel better. And you will beg and you will plead. And if it's on the to-do list, maybe that person gets better. But if it's not on the to-do list, there's nothing that's going to change, because God's plan is perfect. The divine plan is perfect. So the people who thank God for stuff like their team winning the Super Bowl or passing a test at school, the part that bothers me is if there was a God and he only could do so many things, why would those things, it doesn't make sense to me. If prayer has any function at all, if prayer has it serves any purpose at all, see, this is where I have trouble trying to, if it's part of his to-do list that people suffer and there's no help that ever comes. If that's part of his to-do list and that's part of his wonderful plan, and the people grow up and they're waiting and waiting and waiting, trying to find out what was that for? Because there's always something. There's a reason for everything, right? So there should be a reason for that. There should be a reason that little kids have to suffer when they grow up. There should be something that makes it all worth it. There should be something. So, but he has a to-do list, so it's got to be on that list. So if his list says it's okay for the football team to win, or if it's part of the plan, they'll win no matter how many people pray or don't pray. And if so-and-so passes their test, that was on the list. But if those starving little kids, and it's not even in other countries, it's right here in America, it's in Europe. There are starving little kids. There are starving adults. There are elderly people in homes in the wintertime in certain parts of this country who freeze to death. All it would take for them is a little warmth, but this all-powerful God, it's not part of his divine plan to breathe a little of his breath onto that house and warm it up so somebody doesn't die. When does God, every miracle I have ever seen in my life has been brought about by a good teacher or a good friend or a good doctor or a good driver. People thank God for what people do. People work really hard to become doctors, and they work really hard to become good teachers. And we thank God. And yet, the things that are really, really beyond what human beings can accomplish, things that are beyond what a good doctor can accomplish, or a good teacher, or a good fireman, or a good cop can accomplish, the things that are truly requiring a supernatural, all-powerful, all-loving, compassionate Father, when did they get to happen? When did they get to happen? The 2004 tsunami. Nothing could stop it but an all-loving, all-powerful God. So it wasn't stopped, so that means those I don't even know how many people died that day. I just remember seeing footage that you can't even see that footage anymore. You can't even, good luck trying to find pictures of it, but I have that seared in my brain of bodies piled up on top of bodies along the shore, floating face down in the water. The 2004 tsunami, the earthquake in Japan. There have been so many huge disasters and so many people have died. 911. There was just a fire. I'm trying to remember where I saw Brazil, was it? There was 230 people that just died, like on Monday or something. And it was I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't know if it was something like a bar or a tavern or something like that. And they died in a fire. Where was God? I mean, all these things, all the people that starve to death every day or die slowly of some horrible disease, people with cancer who are in agony and they just want to die. You would think that an all-loving God, what is part of the plan there that they linger when they're going to die anyway, and their families are suffering terribly watching them suffer, and they're suffering painfully, and the only thing getting them through the day is so much drugs that they hardly know the faces around them. They hardly can even focus. They're just waiting to die, and they're suffering terribly, and where's God to take them away? Where's God to end their suffering or cure them? Oh, but it's all part of God's plan. God is a mystery. Who are we to question God? What does it serve for somebody to suffer needlessly when they're going to die anyway? If a little child is starving to death, what is that serving? Who is that serving? How does that serve the divine plan? I think people think it's immoral when people give credit to God for things like a football game that's won, or a test that somebody passes, or cookies that turn out great. You pull them out of the oven and they're great. I mean, when I was a Christian, I thank God for all kinds of stuff. It's all part of God's plan, and He's so concerned about my life that any little thing that goes right, thank you, God. I don't believe that there is a God. And if there was a God, I can't believe that this is a loving God. I don't think a loving God would show favoritism to one country over another, or one social group over another, or there would be more miracles. These huge storms that are causing so many people to lose their homes, and these fires, and these earthquakes. Where is God? When something really, really requires a supernatural, loving Father, like an amputee who is begging his God that he believes and has faith in, is begging every single day for a miracle. Why is it that no amputee ever has received that miracle? Someone gets better from cancer, and rather than thanking the doctor who went to college in medical school for 12 or more years, rather than thank that guy who busted his ass to get all that education so he could help people, we thank God when somebody recovers from cancer, and people do, thanks to science and thanks to people who put their time in and learn what it takes to save lives. People do survive cancer more and more now. But what about the amputee? Why has there never been somebody who has grown back a missing limb? Where's the supernatural power when it's really needed? That's what I think about prayer. And everything else, it's just what would have happened anyway, because if there's a God, it's all part of his plan. So that's all. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents. So thanks for listening. Bye.